What's up, guys? Namer122, and it's day 3 of discussion week. Ah, yes, day 3. Oh, that's a lot of videos, even though they're short. And today's subject is an important one because it's one that I really need to learn how to practice what I preach, and that is losing gracefully in Yu-Gi Mans. Ah, yes, I'm gonna get right out in front of this one, and I'll admit I've punched a table before at a tournament because I was frustrated with my damn self for a misplay that I had made. It was really dumb, and I was under the time crunch, and I did something stupid. We've all done it. It's bad. Even the best of players, the pro tables, and the lowliest scrubs trying to build decks out of whatever is in their tins. Everyone in between. We all get PO'd at this game from time to time. But we gotta be better about that. And this is some of the stuff that I came up with. I'm not sure if this is gonna be a list video or not. Maybe it should be to get more views. I don't know. We'll see. But these are 5 ways that you can lose gracefully in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm getting salty just thinking about it. Number 1, it's probably the most important one. Still get pissed off. Yeah, you know, Davey Boy's gotta practice what he preaches on this one. Don't get pissed off. No matter how stupid your misplay was, no matter how annoying their deck was, you know, you really shouldn't get mad. Yeah, I know it's difficult sometimes because when you're at a tournament and it's really high pressure, you know, you're actually there for a competitive, you know, you're there for the play competitively, and you paid your money to get in, and you're really stoked to do well, and then you scrub out like round 3 because you did something stupid. You get really mad at yourself. Or if your opponent just cheesing or slow playing or whatever, you get mad at them, and it's annoying. I got you, I understand. However, a healthy player dynamic, getting pissed off does not make. We should all do our best not to get all pissed off about this because, hey, it happens. We all lose. Someone's got to lose, right? It's a 2-player game, unless you're all getting draws due to the new time rules. Now that you're in a calm, woosai state of mind, you can actually start being constructive about the L you were just handed. I would say number 2, what you should do is ask your opponent if you misplayed at any time. It doesn't matter how good you are at your deck. Sometimes, you know, if you're playing against something weird, something you've never played against before, you know, hey, maybe you did something weird and your opponent noticed it and took advantage of it. And like I said, even if you're a pro player, sometimes, you know, the pressure's on, you did something silly and maybe you didn't even catch it. So sometimes your opponent might be gracious enough in their victory as they're signing their name on that little card there, that they'll say, oh yeah, a couple turns back you played this card and this card, and I was like, oh yeah, if you didn't do that I was totally screwed, so I took advantage of it and won. So that way, next time you can know for a fact that, hey, I won't do that. That was dumb. And number 3, you actually kind of goes along with this, and that is side deck choices. No one knows how to beat a deck better than the person playing that deck. Because, oh boy, if you test a deck online or you test a deck at a tournament or whatever, and your opponent sides properly for it, ooh, it can hurt. So, if you actually lose a duel to somebody and you put some sides in your deck and they didn't help, this is a perfect time for you to ask your opponent whether or not the side choices you made sense. Maybe you just didn't play them at the right time, or they were just completely silly and you did something silly. Because again, if they know their deck well, they can tell you exactly what card they don't want to see. So those are cards you can put in your deck for the next tournament, because you can't switch your side deck in the middle of a tournament. That'd be cheap. And most players, especially if they just won, they're probably in a good mood, are eager to share their experiences with their deck and talk about their deck, because most people play decks that they like. Whether it's the meta deck or a road deck or whatever, they're using the deck, there's something about it they must like. Most people that are like the meta sheep don't just play the best deck because it's, you know, because it's the best deck. If there's like 1 or 2 options for the best deck, they'll pick the one they like the better, or they have the most fun playing. Whether they like it might be generous, but they at least enjoy something about it. So they're going to be passionate enough about the deck in order to talk about it to you. So it's always good to ask questions about it, because, you know, especially if it's a meta deck, because that means, you know, the next round you might see it again. So it helps to know how to play against it better. And number 4 is stay out of the I should have done this, that, and the other thing pitfalls. Ah, yes, the worst thing you can do is at the end of a duel that you have lost, pick up the next 3 cards in your deck and say, oh, if I just had 1 more turn, I would have won. Because that's ridiculous. No, you wouldn't have had 1 more turn to win. Well, you didn't do anything to actively get yourself that extra turn. your opponent would have had to let you have another turn, which would be very silly of your opponent, because there's plenty of stacky cards in this game where you don't want to give your opponent an extra turn even if you think victory is assured, because they could draw that one out to your deck and they could turn it around, and that would be very silly for you to allow them to do that. Plus, like, frankly, if my opponent was like, nah bro, have an extra turn, I want to see if you can out this, that person's being a jerk. That's not helping me out. Like, what a dick. So no, in no situation should you ever look at the next card and be like, oh, if I just had another turn, I could have done this, because you couldn't have had an extra turn. Basically, long story short, what you're doing is you're dwelling on something that was never an option, could never have happened, so it's not doing you any good and it's not being very constructive for you becoming a better player. And this last one's actually something that Marion suggested. I was really proud of him. It was really good. It was a really good suggestion. And this is one for all the peoples, regardless if you're a pro or a scrub or somebody's parent that just came along and is bored, so you're playing too. Keep a mental tally of the cards in your hand when you lose the duel, presumably if you have a hand. Or just cards that you've opened every single game, especially the games you have lost. If you're finding that certain cards are just dead every single duel, or you always seem to have this last card in your hand no matter how the duel went at the end of the duel, you're going to start figuring out that maybe perhaps these choices in your deck building were just not good for the format. We all have those obvious, common sense tech cards for certain decks, like for instance my Tetsuo Ratnuen, the Tiny Turtle, is just a really good floodgate monster. It would make sense that if I'm just building a Tiny Turtle Turbo Rogue deck, I'm just gonna throw him in there because generally he's a good floodgate. However, I was trying to play that deck during Zodiac format, and all the Zodiacs have a base attack of 0 in the extra deck, so they are completely uninhibited by Tiny Turtle in order to play themselves onto the field. They can just make Dryden and then like attack into it with the Whip Tail or pop it, I guess. And yeah, that Tiny Turtle wasn't doing nothing. So despite the fact that he's a pretty solid floodgate, in that particular format, he was a poor card choice of mine. So there you go. It's not always as common sense as you think. So keeping a tally in your head, or even on a piece of paper, that would be lit if you did that. I could say that would be lit. Ugh. So they can see, hey, it's just my bad luck that this card never works, or this card actually has some sort of weird synergy with the deck, and it's kind of fumbly and it's bumping heads with something else, so I think I might cut it. And thanks Marion for that one, because that's honestly probably the most constructive thing you can do with a loss. You can be pissed off and scream at your opponent and tell them that they're a meta sheep and then dump their trade binder, but if you're taking but if you're keeping a mental tab of all the bad cards in your deck, you're gonna at least do better next time, no matter how toxic of a player you are. Meta sheep. Ah! But anyway guys, that was the discussion video for today. Let me down in the comments below what you guys think, and give me some suggestions that I can learn from, because like I said, I'm bad at this. I'm really bad at this. I'm not always the best loser. I'm not. So if you have any cool constructive tips, leave them in the comments section below for everybody, because again, these are my discussion videos, and in my discussion videos, I want people arguing and yammering and calling each other scrubs and crap down in the comments below. I want a discussion, not just like, great video, Dave. No, I want like, stop playing Magical Mallet, Dave. Never. I love Magical Minus. So guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And remember guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I will see you guys next time. Watcha!
Heh, clicking the subscribe button's a good move. I guess there's a first time for everything. Feel free to click on these third-rate videos from a fourth-rate YouTuber. But I don't have time for such amateurs. Come on, Mokuba, let's go get ice cream.